Okay, today I'm going to start a Wine Expert limited edition kit of Barbera. Begin with your primary fermenter that has to be cleaned and sanitized. Everything needs to be sanitized continually, otherwise you can get bacteria which will cause a problem. The kit calls for 2 liters of hot water. Pour it in. Then take the bentonite and something to stir it with. Slowly pour the bentonite into the water and continually stir it for at least 30 seconds. You really want it all dissolved as best you can. Bentonite is a mineral, some sort of clay. Okay, the next part is to add the juice. Usually, you got to be careful it doesn't spill. That's a typical problem.
What if the handles break?
Splatters a lot. Now, depending on the kit that you have, it'll have varying amounts of partially concentrated juice in it. Okay, next I've added 2 liters of warm water to the giant plastic bag that held the juice. Swish it around a little bit and then add that to your primary fermenter. The fermenter has a crease inside, which is the 6-gallon level. And then bring it up the rest of the way with some other water. So we're at 6 gallons. Next is to stir it. But I have to sanitize my stirrer first. I use a sanitizing solution, typically Iodophor, which is food grade iodine, and I put some in a little spray bottle and then mix it up so your juice and your water are evenly distributed in there. And the bentonite is also spread throughout. So I'm just going to let that sit for a second, and I'm going to get my wine thief. I have to measure the specific gravity as we to start with here. So clear this out, make sure it's nice and clean or sanitized. Obviously it was cleaned beforehand. Drop that in. I'm going to take my hydrometer. Be careful with these. I've broken 3 of them so far. They break very easily. usually roll off a table when I'm after I've cleaned them. So that's all sanitized. And I'll take my wine thief and add the juice here. I don't know how much Usually with the wine thief, or excuse me, with the hydrometer, you should spin it a little bit to be sure it's nice and even and it's floating correctly. Now this one looks like it's about 1.94, and that's within the range that the kit's calling for here. So I'll just put the rest of that juice back in. Put that to the side. Next I'm going to
Empty out your wine thief.
Yeah, after I've emptied out the wine thief, I will be adding the oak that it calls for. So let's put that to the side.
Can we see the package to see how it's labeled? No, you leave that. No, I'll move the camera.
And this is the package of oak. From the feel of it, it's like sawdust. Sometimes they have it in chunks, but this is sawdust. Or little tiny pieces here. So, you put this in, and stir, stir, stir. Try and get as much as you can of it under the water, or under the juice. Now the temperature should be in the range of 70 to 74 degrees. Here I am in January. I'm doing it in my basement, so I have a heater on, and I'll get it to about 68 degrees, maybe 70. It'll ferment. You just have to, it may take an extra day to complete fermentation. So that's pretty good. The yeast in this case is the EC 1118, which doesn't add any special flavors to the juice. Usually find these, I think 1118 I usually find in white wines, but this one is what it came with. And you just sprinkle it lightly on the top. Do not stir it, just let it go. Sprinkle a little bit over the top, and in about a day you'll see fermentations. Alright, so that's all done. Next I'm going to take my cover and put that on. This is a new top, so it's very tight. And then I will put my airlock on. Once again, sanitize. And that just slips into the plastic grommet area, rubber grommet. And I'm going to fill this up about halfway with water. Be sure to write down on your directions what the specific gravity was. So that was 1.094 and the date. And in this case, it should be 5 to 7 days to reach the next level. And you can monitor that. You will see the bubbles coming up through the airlock, probably in a day, maybe two, depending on the temperature.
Of that when it happens.
So, and we'll go from there. All right. Okay, it's a day later, and you can see the bubbles coming up here through the airlock, and that means its fermentation is ongoing. The yeast is doing its job. The temperature down here is about 68 degrees, and so that works fairly well.